Hello everyone. So today we will discuss about a dynamic diagram. So far we have discussed only about static diagrams, and the static diagrams or static behavior is not sufficient to model a system, and dynamic behavior is sometimes more important than the static behavior. And I have mentioned you before that dynamic behavior defines the behavior of the system when it's running or it's operating. So that's why dynamic behavior is more important than static behavior. So that's why dynamic diagrams is more useful rather than the static diagrams. And today we will discuss about a dynamic diagram. I have already showed you that we have 5 dynamic diagrams, and use case diagram is one of them, and the other 4 is activity diagram, sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, and state chart diagram. So we will cover all of these. So the first and the most important one in dynamic diagram is use case diagram. So today we will discuss about these use cases. So use case diagram is actually used to gather the requirements of a system. So the purpose of use case diagram is gathering requirements, and these requirements are mostly design requirements. And also use case diagram captures what a system is supposed to do. That implies that it defines the system's functional requirements, what the system is supposed to do. So use case diagram captures system functional requirements, and also it captures how the system coordinates human actions. It also describes a sequence of actions a system performs, and those actions actually yields and observable results. So it performs sequence of actions that yields and observable results. Now one important thing here is that a single use case diagram actually captures a particular functionality of a system. So one use case diagram is for a one particular functionality of a system. So if you want to represent the system, the whole system, if you want to model the entire system, then a number of use cases are being used. Okay, so you might have to draw a number of use cases for the entire system, for representing the entire system. So if we talk about general use cases, then it can be represented using textual representation or tabular representation. Also you can do it using stories, but in this lecture we will focus on use case diagram, only on use case diagram. Okay, so use case diagram consists of 4 key elements. The first element is use case, then actor, then you have to define relationship, and the last one is system boundaries. We will talk about these 4 things in details in the next slides. So at first, this is the notation for drawing use cases. So the first one is actor here. It's kind of look like a human, so that's an actor. And then the oval shaped is the use case, and then the links, this is generalization. That if you have an arrow point on the head, that's a generalization, and a rectangular box is the system boundaries. And we have 2 more relations, that's extend relation and include relation. So these are the basic elements to draw a use case diagram: actor, use cases. And in use cases you can also divide it into 2 parts, and you can put extension points also. So these are 2 notations for defining use cases, and those are relations. Okay, so by using these notations we will draw use case diagram. So now we already have discussed that the use case diagram is dynamic in nature, right? So if it's dynamic in nature, there should be some internal or external factors for making the interaction. These internal or external agents are known as actors. So actor is something or someone interacting with the system. Okay, so it could be human user, also it could be internal application, or it could be some external application. So there will be human actors or also non-human actors. Okay, and actors actually triggers use cases, and it has some responsibilities toward the system, and also it has some expectation from the system. So these are actors. And one important thing while drawing use case is finding those actors. Okay, and it's sometimes in some system it's also critical to find the actors. So we can ask few questions to identify the actors of the system. You can ask who will use the main functionality of the system, then you will get a result like student, or if it's a ATM system then it's a customer, the managers, or if it's a library system you will see that the students or registered user or librarian, those are the actors of the system. So who is actually using the functionality of the system, and also who will need support from the system to do their task. Okay, and also you can ask who will need to maintain and administer the system. Like in library system you need a librarian, or in university admission system or administration system you need administration people to look at that. So that's why who is there to maintain the system, those people are actually the actors. Okay, suppose you are working in a system where for authorizing any task you need a authorizer. So then the authorizer is the actor of the system. Okay, then you can ask which hardware devices does the system need to handle, or if there is any database with your system then that the database could be an actor. So those are the actors, and you can ask this question to identify the actor. So the next thing we will talk about is use case. Use case is represented by this horizontally oval shape. Use case represent the different uses that a user might have. Okay, let me give an example. Suppose you are a student. Okay, you are the actor. Then what you can do, you can enroll in a course, you can drop a course, or you can attend seminar. Let's talk about these three things. So these three things is actually use case. You are doing something here, you are adding a course, so that's a use case. You can drop the course, so drop course is another use case. You can attend seminar, so attend seminar is another use case. So these are different use cases, and actor is interacting with this use case. Okay, so use case defines is doing something, you are doing something, in that case that's a functional requirement. Okay, so for finding the use cases, like for each identified actor you can ask this question to find the use case. Okay, so the first thing you can ask, which functions does the actor require from the system? Suppose let's talk about a bank. Okay, so in a bank what a customer can do, a customer can deposit his money in this bank, he can withdraw the money. So these are the functions of that actor, right? Withdrawing money or depositing money, or he can also do other stuff. So these functions that the actor needs is the use cases. And also, does the actor need to read, create, like whether you are browsing or you are reading, you are creating something, you are modifying something, or you are storing something in the system. So that's also a use case. Okay, and also you can ask, does the actor have to be notified about events? Like suppose you have purchased something. Okay, so after purchasing they will send you confirmation email, right? So that's an event. So you can also think it as a use case. And also when you order food, they give you a confirmation or that your food is ready or your order has been placed. So those are use cases, how they are notifying the actor. So these are different use cases. So you can ask this question and find about use cases. So the next thing we will talk is relationship. So at first the simple thing is the relationship between the actor and the use case is just a line. It's drawing just by a line, a link. So actors will be connected to the use case by using just a link. Okay, it indicates that the actor and the use case communicate with each other. So now some more relations is generalization, include relation, extend relationship. These three things is important while you draw use case. So generalization, we already know it's kind of inheritance, right? One element is based on another element. So it's parent-children relationship, inheritance relationship. It's generalization. And include relationship, it's kind of one use case includes the functionality of another use case. In that case you can use include relationship. And extend relationship, it's sometimes optional, so it uses like one use case extends the behavior of another use case. So now I will give you more details about this include relationship and extend relationship. But first, let's dive into the generalization relationship. So generalization relationship, it could happen between actors and also it could happen between use cases. So at first we will talk about generalization between actors. The notation for generalization is a link or it is an arrow with a triangle arrowhead. When you will draw your use cases, you will see that you have instances where actors are associated with similar use case, but the specialized actors have some unique use cases also. So in that case you will use generalization. You can generalize the actor to show the inheritance of functions. So we have added example here. So you can see undergraduate student, master's student, visiting students, all of these actors you can generalize it with more general actor role. So that's students. So you can implement a generalization relation here. But undergrad student have some special have some interaction with some special use cases. Visiting student will have some interaction with some special use cases, and also master's student have some other special or unique use cases. But you can still generalize those three you actors to a more general actor. So that's student actor. So we can do the same thing for use case as well. So the child use case inherits the behavior and meaning of the parent use case. Then it's a generalization. Okay, so one of the best example I can give you is that payments. Okay, so bill payments, so that's a use case, and these bill payment use case can be further generalized to pay by credit card or payments by cash, and also you can add payment by check. So these are more generalized use case. Okay, so all of them have the attributes and the functionality of payment, bill payment with special scenarios unique to them. Okay, so that's why this is a generalization between use cases. So now we will talk about include relationship. So when a use case is depicted as using the functionality of another use case, the relationship between the use cases is named as include or uses relationship. So now when we draw a use case diagram, we look for common functionality that can be resulted across the system. So if you find two or more use cases that share common functionality, you can extract the common functionality and add it to a separate use case. Then you can connect it via the include relationship to show that it's always called when the original use case is executed. So when you use include relationship, the child one is always called when you call the parent. Okay, so this is an example of include relationship. The notation is a directed arrow having a dotted line, and the tip of arrowhead points to the child use case, and the parent use case actually connected to the base of the arrow. And you have to add in the word include to indicate that it's an include relationship. Okay, so suppose if I talk about let's talk about a banking system. Okay, it's not here. Okay, so in a banking system, what you can do, you can deposit your money, and you can also withdraw funds or withdraw money from your account. So now when you deposit funds and also when you withdraw funds, both of them actually call another use case, that is your account balance. Update your account balance. If you deposit your money to your account, then the account balance will be updated, and also if you withdraw your money, your account balance will be updated. So this account balance use case is actually by default called by when you are updating your when you are withdrawing or when you are depositing money. So this is by default is called when the parent use case is called. Okay, so that's a include relationship. And here we also have two more examples here. So suppose if we talk about an order system, so if you want to order items, so then you have to log in. Okay, and also if you want to track package, then you have to log in. So the login page will be called by default. So that's an include relationship. So now we will talk about extend relationship. So there are some functions that are triggered optionally. So in such case, you can use the extend relationship and can attach an extension rule to it. And also this extend relationship is the notation is almost same as the include relationship. It's an arrow having a dotted line. So you can see here it's an arrow having a dotted line, and the tip of the arrowhead points to the base use case, and the child use case is connected to the base of the arrow. And you will add the extends word here to identify that this is the extend relationship. Okay, okay, let me give you an example that's not here. So suppose in the previous one when I said that a customer can withdraw money, or a customer can deposit his money in his bank account. So suppose there is an option that if you deposit that much of amount, you will get some bonus on that amount. So if your deposit exceeds suppose $50,000, then you will get a bonus. So this bonus calculation is an extend relationship with the deposit money, right? So if you extend that, it's an optional one. If you deposit, you can deposit money, but if it fits some criteria, if it exceeds that limited amount 50,000, then the bonus use case will be called. So that's an optional relationship. So this, in that case, you can use this extend relationship. So this is another example of extend relationship where payment by credit card, payment by cash, this has extend relationship with the make payment use case. Okay, so the main thing to remember here that the base use case, the make payment use case, should be able to perform a function on its own. So when you are defining a extend relationship, the base use case should be able to perform a function on its own even if the extend use case is not called. So the extending use cases are just supplementing the base use case. So payment by credit, payment by e-transfer, or payment by cash, those are actually supplementing the main use case, the base use case, make payment. So this is the extend relation. So now the next thing, the last thing is system boundaries. So system boundaries is actually identified by a rectangle box, and it's used to define the scope of the use cases. Okay, so this is an actually optional element. You can add it, you can also ignore it if you want, but it's useful when you are visualizing large systems. For example, you can create all the use cases, and then you can use the system object to define the scope covered by your project. Or even you can add it to show different release, different areas covered in different release, like release 1, which areas you have covered in release 1. And then you can draw one more rectangle box to define which area you have added in the release 1. Okay, so then it will be release 2. So you can add 2 or 3 rectangle boxes in your system to identify different releases and what's your addition in different releases. Okay, so that's it's easy to see in large or complex system, but in simple system, if you want, you can ignore this one. So now you know all the key elements of drawing your use case diagram. So the steps in drawing use case diagram is that at first you have to identify all the use cases, and then you will draw a oval shape and give a proper name to your use case. And then you have to identify actors and give a suitable name for your actors. And then you will draw the actor and connect them with the use cases. And the next thing is you have to show relationship and dependencies between them. You can specify, include, and extend relationship between use cases, and also you can show generalization between actors. But one thing is that don't try to add all include relationship or all extend relationship. Okay, the main purpose of this diagram is to identify the requirements. So just don't add too much include or extend relationship. And also one more thing is that you can add notes whenever required to clarify something or some important points. Okay, so this is the step to draw use case diagram. So now I will show you an example of use case diagram. I hope you remember the ordering system or order management system. I have shown you the class diagram of order management system, object diagram of order management system. So this is the use case diagram of order management system. Okay, so here we will have 3 use cases: order, special order, and normal order. And we will have one actor, which is customer. Okay, and the special order and normal order use cases are the extended form of order use case. So that's why we put the extend relationship between the order and the special order. Okay, and another important point is that you have to identify the system boundary. So we have identified the system boundary here by a rectangle box, and we have given a proper name, that is use case diagram of an order management system. That's the name of our boundary. And the actor customer here lies outside of the system. Okay, this is an external user of the system, so that's why this is in the outside of the system boundary. So this is the use case diagram of online order management system. And we have add one more use case diagram here of online shopping system. So a customer can view items, and also a customer can make payments. So now make payments has include relationship with view items and complete checkout. Okay, so when you are purchasing anything, you have to complete your checkout. That's by default. By default, a complete checkout will be called. So that's why that's an include relationship between make payments and also when you are purchasing something, you will view this item. So that's why make purchase and view items has include relationship. And there is one more use case, that's login. So when you will log in, so they will authorize your credentials, right? So that's why there is a actor, that's authentication actor. So if you want to make payments, so you can do it by credit card, you can do it by PayPal. So credit payment service is an actor here, and also PayPal is an actor here. So this is a use case diagram of online shopping system. So these use case diagrams are actually very high level of design diagrams. So we use these use case diagram to identify functions and to identify how the actors are interacted with the system, to identify the internal and external factors. So these use case diagram are actually very useful for finding requirements and finding interactions between the system.